welcome to Dungeon Master. Why is this commercial rocking the boat? It's making the whole lantern mirror. How could it be a lantern mirror? Because we're seeing a mirror image of what we're seeing, like anything we're seeing is a mirror image of what we're seeing, like we're seeing through a mirror. We just cannot see the mirror in reality unless the mirror is TV and we're watching computer. We have to go study a film. It's going to be very difficult to study. We haven't seen anything like it. We don't like some of the subtext. Looks like one of those British, English, American upper class movies. Yes, I have heard of these dungeons. We have to go deep into them and see where we can be and what we can do and find out that there's so much more to this than ever.
Well, Dungeon Master, I think we need to speed things up a bit. I know that you're just getting started, but look, I gotta go have a cigarette, so I'm gonna let this go. And you just, you be interactive and click the change button.
Well, if we hit that. Now, this is where the dungeon gets difficult. There are items to play that are somewhat hard to control and hard to forget. And these are the decisions that are sometimes hard to control and hard to forget. But I was just going to say that if there was a sudden turf in the day we come about and, turn left.
We must see what is beyond the shadow of the film in case there is something as vile as Parasite.
The images are so horrible of cartoons. It makes South Park look like Scooby-Doo. It's like the most intense lunch brunch of any early cinema, but not really a cartoon. You don't know, until you've been to the Grand Guignol, but we're not in France, baby. Don't take me to France. All right, he's got his cigarette. Yeah, he's getting chiefed up. That was interesting. This doesn't remind me of Reefer Madness at all. Because actually, there's reefer in this. It's not madness. They have peace, inner peace. That's a rat. I'd like to be like, pass me that pipe. That pipe. Yeah, Dungeon Master does get stoned now after seeing this film. Achievement unlocked. There is no way that I wouldn't have taken about the habit of smoking every day if that's not what I had to do. Because smoking every day is hard to remember to do unless that's what you're doing all day, and then you forget that's what you did all day, but you really did smoke all day. Now, we're looking into this from another perspective. You never knew that this was clever, hard to forget, and these were decisions that were hard to forget, that were hard to ignore. Now, this man who is sitting here playing cards, he is dealing them out with chips, and he's putting them on the table, and he sees what he's looking at, and then suddenly this guy starts challenging him, and he's telling him, look, down, this is where I got the reefer from, and they all start scattering the reefer, and then they grab it, and it's called reefer back then, but it's weed now, and it's legal now, and it's only this movie that legalized it. Yeah, who do I hear from sharecroppers?
All right, well, we're not supposed to know that about this history, because, if we find out Asian people smoke weed, we'll blow the secret for everybody. We'll blow the secret for everybody. All right, guys. Is this racist to say,
Yeah, it is. But see, we're in a dungeon, and the enemy doesn't know that we know the enemy is there. And it isn't necessarily whether they're racist or not, and that some of those racist guys are raunchy, some of those non-racist guys are raunchy. I just avoid them. I'll just be like, well, if they're being raunchy, then you go away, but then you have something like this, that's borderline racism. You gotta understand, at this time when it came out, there is a historical context to the film, because I gotta argue this point. No, I know what you mean. The girl at the end of the movie seems to be white, and he seems to be Japanese. Whether it's a very good adaptation of a Japanese man should ever a white guy play a Japanese actor? Well, only if it's an art film. No, I'm kidding. Because sometimes you see a film that's off color and then it's a really hard role to play and it's someone black playing someone white or vice versa. But I want you to see forth. The time has changed, no longer yonder. And even these that are seen visions are somewhat exaggerated among the proper course of how to represent the reflection on race. But that's an exaggeration, is kind of an insult, because then you're saying that everyone that's of that race is over the top. But then again, I think D.W. Griffith, no offense, is over the top. I think he's more over the top than the movie. I mean, the fact that he fought in both wars and made movies about both of them, but the Second World War movies he made were never seen? Of course they were never seen. You have to be in the Army to see an Army film, bro. I almost enlisted to the Army just to see D.W. Griffith's Army films, and there's like dozens of other people in the world that have done that. But, especially in America, they enlist for the Army because they see D.W. Griffith movies, and I'm like, well, that ain't a bad thing. We're all about that in the country West Irish Hills anyway. And if you look into his eyes, you see the characteristics of maybe he's not just a stereotype. Maybe he's some kind of icon celebrity and he's doing this art film role because everybody's smoking weed in it, but only, it seems, do the Chinese have weed, which we know how he lures Lillian Gish with the scent of the green aroma, the scent of the green mean. He knows that if she goes and finds the green mean, that she may be with an Asian man forever. And though she doesn't trust being with an Asian man, because in this year of the century of God in America, that would be impossible to even have an interracial marriage. Sorry if I'm being offensive. Am I being offensive? Oh, I'm being called out for being offensive. There's no point to that other than, remember, we're in the future now, where racism is illegal. And so don't be a racist now, but I don't think it necessarily makes you a racist to watch a racist film. You're getting too theoretical for me, young man. This round table at Dungeon Master is here. And that's Richard Balmas anyway, and what business does he have playing both an Irishman and the Japanese guy, because he plays every role in the movie. No, just kidding, that's a different guy. But he's not Japanese, he's Asian American. But only playing that, nobody knows what race he really is, because they covered it up with makeup to make it look like that race. Somehow we know it's Japanese. Now, this girl. Yeah, we got this, man. Here's the Technologian. When not serving, I didn't see that. Could you rewind it? No, we can't rewind it, but we do have to get further. Dungeon Master, come down here, man. Alright, hang on. Now, this is a scene in the same bar later in the film, and I hate to get all studious about this, but he's not acting as stereotypical since when the introduction, which is sort of an offensive part of him being an Irish drunk. But those words together seem to be making fun of someone as though they're an Irish drunk, and that would be a typical thing to do when you've heard those words, because sometimes sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will freaking not even hurt me. No, I'm kidding. Alright, well, we're alright. Now, he's smoking a J right here, and I told you this was the ultimate reefer movie. Did you guys know this was a reefer movie and you sent me to it? And I wrote the summary, and you didn't even put that I was a reefer in it on my summary? Don't you know how to hack my summaries and change them into better writing? Somebody did. No, I'm kidding. Nobody hacked me. They wouldn't take credit for such drilf. No, I'm kidding. There is actually a point to it after all. Now we see that the other man watched. There's words in this movie? I thought this movie was silent. If it's silent, why are there words? What words aren't silent? Listen, I'm reading the words. Which all limestone? Man, that's low. I didn't like that you were emulating other accents there. It kind of made you seem like you were exaggerating, especially on intro. If you exaggerate on intro, look, these kids were exaggerating on info.
And what business do kids have being in a movie anyway? And why is he smoking reefer around the kids about to happen? Is he reading Mao Zedong or is he reading? Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say that. Oh, I know the director knew him personally and put him into power. No, he didn't. He was trying to take him out of power. Well, depending on which side the military took.
But I think this is really interesting that he's contemplating being with this white girl. And he's just laughing his ass off at how hot she is, dude. And that's a nice guy. That's a nice guy. I'd let him marry my daughter in time. I'd let the man marry my daughter if I carried her out on a Wichita. I'd let the man marry my daughter if he brought over that green, mean-loving machine, and I'll do it behind doors so no one can see me drink my bourbon, although they already saw me drink it, and I don't think it was in a positive connotation, brothers. But if it's anything about the Irish and drunk, you're gonna have to watch it, because even now, if I'm bringing it up, it's gonna slam the Irish drunk into thinking that the Irish drunk is the Irish drunk. Now, if you could look at this, I think there's someone walking on that. Oh, it's a frame. What is this movie? 10 cents a frame to make it? There's 24 frames per second. 60 minutes. 100. I can't do that. That's too hard. I knocked out a calculator, but that's an expensive movie. Just think, D.W. Griffith collected 10 cents for every hour of this film. By today's standards, not really. It would have cost about $12 to make. But he already had the studio built, did he not? Or did he build the studio? And did Thomas Edison build the studio first? And did not Thomas Edison's stereotypes look more crony and absolutely despicable and threshold gaudy and all? These things seem to be challenges that they're overcoming. Now, that's the guy she doesn't want to hook up with, and he's going to somehow go after her. I don't think he's a good guy. I can't tell yet. He doesn't look happy smoking weed, so you can always know the moral is you have to be happy smoking weed. Because if you're not happy smoking weed, then you're not happy doing anything, brother. I wonder if this was pirated camp. Before we see the pirates of gold, we have a commercial. Buy it, buy it, buy it, buy it. Yeah! You want that shiznit? You got it. Thank you, you too. Now, if these guys got any problem with me, they can just see that I'm lodging at the next hotel and I'll be there with a fine lady, and if you'd like to join us, you sure can. He's like, well, I was gonna go, but I don't know if this is the time or not. And if we could go right now. All right, I'll leave the lady behind and we'll go. I was like, will you get me some flowers, sir? And I'm seeing that this guy's kind of being pointed at him. Oh, this is not a stereotype, though. This is some kind of rouse. Okay, they just messed around. Phew. I thought we were going to have trouble. They are going out the door together. Now, why they went out the door together was impressive. It was to go outside. And if they go outside, then, they're going to dress up as Klansmen in this film? No, that's a different film I saw where these Klansmen were actually the good guys, and it was kind of cool, kind of funny, because the Klansmen are usually always the bad guys, even in movies after that. But the good thing about that film is it was such a bad idea to make the good guys Klansmen that it was a bad idea to make them Klansmen. But to take a bad idea all the way. To take a bad idea all the way to the edge, bro? Classic. Alright, now, I'm not saying this guy's good or bad, but there are good things about this man who is obviously Asian, not really Asian, but playing an Asian, which means he is doing some kind of theater version of mock-ups of mimicry, which is also known as dark side tomfoolery and must be thwarted before it is controlled by any mindset that would twist us into the dark, beyond the archway, into the mirror, where we see the lovers thought its due into the manager's next burrow. And we come low to the frosted brew and all that will achieve in us not a mile away the Vishnik that will come from the ochre mantra that will take us to higher heights and will make us another great man in the face of men who were men that were once there. And now the women have the vote. Because she went through the door and she chose to go inside. And did you notice how it went straight forward and into the side? That was weird. Dungeon Master friends, roll your dice. I feel it. More than 2 than up coming on if you roll a 1. Or a 2, I'm saying. Get your 6-sided dice. No, 12-sided. There was a 12 on the clock. Oh, we got over 2. If you did not roll over a 2, you must start over. And if you start over, the words will change that you see thanks to the medium that we deliver this to, which we do thank thee, O Lord. Alright, well, that's pretty stupid, because, now you're just getting me into trouble with religious politics. Man, this movie ain't religious. This movie is like freaking Cowboy Junkie Bebop, man. Alright, well, that's just because he's trashed on alcohol. And if he's trashed on alcohol, then he can have the local in case of what he wants is to be a man himself, a man alone, a man with no starch, a man with green weald, a man with hooky-doo and desperate terror, and up the way and found his river for his return match with the tiger. Now, if she's back there and he's up there, what does that represent, huh? Woman cooking in the kitchen? That's kind of a stereotype to make the woman cook, but I don't know. We'll have to look into that one. The terrible accent. Oh, he's getting his food served to him? What kind of a sexist movie is this? And I'm being serious now. Come on now. She has to serve him the food? Wait, was that it? Was that it? Was that it? Well, there is something haunted on this shelf. We will be right back, Lillian Gish. The box, the great wardrobe, has called us in Dungeon Master for a second time. And it's been the 3rd time in a row on Dungeon Master, if not 4th or 5th, that we've sort of found a Dungeon Master soundtrack that will last on for more Dungeon Masters, although I have to say it's quite a soundtrack. And it's not even available because Wizards of the Coast, even though they have trillions of dollars to spend on me, they're only going to spend it on me making one Magic the Gathering card, and it's already going to cost $2 trillion out of my own pocket. So I think I should go for it. What do you think? Oh, I just did anyway. No, I'm kidding. I was going to go discoing to the Nightmare Before and see a wave of how we think that's going to make people think you don't do stuff you really do, Pard. Because if you're just saying you're going to spend $1 trillion, well, I want a piece of it, bro. Give me $1 trillion. I'll give you 50 trillion if you leave me alone, because that's how much money there is in the whole world. And you're going to have to start busting all their asses not to protect me when I come to get you. Wait, protecting you when I come to get you. Sorry, Dungeon Master got a little feisty with the stereo. Real, stereo happy. Alright, stereo happy. We like the stereo. Lucifer. Oh, my stereo's a Satan worshiper. High stereo. My stereo's a Satan worshiper. It's a cool stereo, though. We gotta hear. Well, I would go to the radio, but we got a problem with that right now. See, our signal is down. And we just can't do it. So we're going back to Dungeon Master. That was a commercial from this brand. Yeah. It says right there what it is, but I can't read that word because it's not a silent film, and I'm only reading subtitles in the silent film. I'm so glad we got back from that. And now we have the thrilling, haunting, manufacturing, and dissident wild of a commercial. And that is not what I expected. This is what I love about commercials on the internet. You never expect them. And being a Gemini, I never know what to expect. This is interesting. Her house. Is that a coffee cup left on the table? Who brewed that cup? She's... Now, I don't know if you see what the pointer is, but I've got it. The name of the game is drag the pointer, if you would, with your mouse. Drag the pointer this way, and watch out for that, and go back this way. So drag the point, and launch it away, and then drag the point that way, and then drag the point this way, and then she swallows it. I don't see how that happens, but it's not looking quite right. Now, I think if you look at this picture, if DJ Spooky saw it, he'd see hierarchies all over it. You know, he was in the Illuminati to be the D.W. Griffith guy, and DJ Spooky still is the D.W. Griffith guy. But he's got these big twirling circles, and all these, they're like the rotoscope brand of seeing with persistence of vision on these zoetropes. And those are all pre-cinematic toys. That was about 30 years before this. I don't think it really, well, it's still the same concept, I guess. If conceptualizing everything is what you do for a living. I couldn't just sit around conceptualizing a visual drama. Anyways, they're about to smoke more weed, so we've got to stick with it because we're stoned at Dungeon Master. We're going to share the weed with him. Hang on, dude, you forgot your weed. I'll give it to you in a minute. Here you go. Gave his joint back. That had to happen. Because I didn't want to be the one to finish it when he needed it most. You can actually take a joint out of this film and smoke it and give it back to the dude. It totally does, dude. I'm alright with that because we know that there is some ghost in the machine of all these beasts that runs these whole nexus of information and gathering web data and video and audio. And we're not getting the audio to the machine because the computer had a destructo button that went off twice and then it came back to life, and it brought me this movie on Criterion as though I'd done it myself. And there's no way to do it yourself unless you do it yourself. What do you think, guys? No, let's not talk about, what was it that he said not to talk about? Guitars? Bat monkeys? Don't talk about weasels? Man, I wrote a bat monkey weasel paper that'll blow your mind. And by the way, National Geographic could use it for these services of online internet places, but not everyone writes for the old movies that are on the web. You have to admit, it's a movie I'm watching now, but it happened in the past. And if I'm watching it now, and it happened in the past, how did they do that? How do we see the pictures of the past? We see the pictures of the past through dreams of images and icons being directorial challenges in one's life. There is a time you put the heed before the steed and puff a huge lump of weed. And when you smoke that joint with 50 cents, you know you gonna pay the rent. I was never supposed to say it. That was never a sworn testimony of anyone. Not anyone you know, not anyone you... This is not to reflect on any race of today, which is true, because no race of today, we don't really walk around in public in this stuff, do we? I mean, I guess at vaudeville maybe, but do we walk around with paint on our face in public? I don't know, dude. Maybe. Didn't know guys wear makeup, but I guess they did for the theater. That really puts it all into the slammer. For, you know, I mean, it's like, I'm not saying John Houseman had it all figured out, but at least he had a groove, dude. I'm stoned, bro. Because I only talk about John Houseman when I got baked. And how that relates to this film, I don't know, but wasn't that Within Our Gates the same year? We'll have to check that out, but we can't do that one right now because the teleoperator on that one was a little departed from the original goal, in case it needed protected in a great sling of iron. In the archives below the sink, at the cash hound, below the diver, in the circus, where you never have to get nervous. You never get nervous because you're never at the circus, and you're never at the circus because you didn't like that elephant thing go down that started humane society. Now that is what you call a gong, and I think there's a commercial coming. Yes, not too many commercials. This is the least amount I've ever seen. And we can sell things with that. We'll just sell it to YouTube. Then now the whole point of the conversation is to kick some ass. And this guy's like, I kick ass for the Lord. And like that's from a movie that came from this. And there was actually a movie that was made called Idle Burden. No, that was never made. It was called Cast of Iron. And Cast of Iron was a gritty, New World film release drama that had nothing to do with this and had a yellow man, a red man, and a black man. And all those words just sounded so racist back then. I was going to say that it was an African flag. But I don't remember if those colors would make someone mad just because it was an African flag. Why would the colors of... Oh, it's making him mad just saying this. You can see him taking it through the movie. They're waving their African flag, but you said the colors still, and it kind of sounded racist. So maybe we're not allowed to even say what crayons are anymore. We've disgraced ourselves to that level of debauchery. No, I'm kidding. We're fine. We're fine. You can do it if you want, man. I just was teasing you, dude. I gotta make fun of you because you're stoned, bro. I don't care if you're doing this weird, like, extra minstrelsy perception, but you're fine, man. Everybody's allowed to do it. They did it in the good earth, and the good earth's alright. I mean, it didn't suck. No film really sucks. But if the no film really suck rule really applies, does it really apply? I think so, because this is a good film. I'm just teasing that. It's a good film. You can cry now. You can cry because I said it's actually a good film. But we all knew that, right? Did you know that it was a good film? What? The Dungeon Master did not know this was a good film. Dungeon Master thought we were ridiculing for no point. No, he gotcha. I knew it was a good film. You guys kidding? The Drunken Irish Boxer? They could have renamed it The Drunken Irish Boxer and everyone would have forgot about the romantic subplot, which was the way they intended it originally. Well, I'm just kidding. You gotta give me one. I tried. That looks more like she's got eyes of Hootie. Hootie's the Stephen Beast of yore that used to travel from Beamalog to Beamalog inside of a gog. Oh, it's just a headpiece. Look, you can almost see Lillian goes through those dreidels. And there's something disappearing from this guy's bobby hat that once went into the porch of him looking through a cat video back when Monkey was becoming the hereditary feeling on the sleigh rate. I have to admit, says Dungeon Master, we've come a long, weary distance. But we travel onward. We push it, not at the length of the film, but the film in general. Okay, I'll come later. Okay, now we're back in action. And we're floating around in the sky. And we see it above the sky, we see it below the sky, and they're slapping hands and throwing their hands down. And that's where I got lost, was they were counting how long he was down. You have to be down for a 10 count. And that was another name for this movie, was 10 count. And look at these, how they're staged like Raging Bull, like they stole it from Raging Bull. These guys keep stealing from Martin Scorsese because he existed long before as the pillar of Zion in the sky of it all, of the dealing of a century to his honor, DeLorean jingles. And I used to think that was a funny one, but now I'm beginning to think how nasty and ridiculous that sounded, guys. Let's get out of here and go find some mugs to have some coffee with. That was kind of like Public Enemy. And that was Musketeers of Pig Alley, and we could learn this forever. But I think there's one more thing we have to do. To see the Romeo and Juliet ending, it is one more thing we have to do. We've got the Asian man who is here, and he is still played by someone else. And I think Mr. Antagonist left. And this is a really hard part, because there is more to it. There's a part where there's a chase and a victory, and you know what? To make it interactive, I'm going to have to rewind. We're lost. Oh man, I'm tangling it up. Sorry, I botched the footage through the camera. No, we got to go further back than this. This is where it gets interesting again, because we saw this part already. And I think we need to see this again, because this was the exact part I shouldn't have skipped. And if I didn't skip it, then it were hiatus that we can go from to the whole sling of time that once was constrained before the investigation and before after evil investigates. And he's still, now this guy's looking gangster. She's got her cheetah mask on. And I don't know where her cheetah came from, but it's a very good hair brace. And it makes your face look brilliant. And now he's mad. And it's like they're trapped in the basement? No, it can't be that. He'd be going claustrophobic in there. And he's looking over here and he's like, well, I gotta look at it. It looks good. I don't think that it looks too bad. And now if Dungeon Master would see for me, the color of the back frame has been changing colors this entire time, hasn't it? No? Same color all the way through. That's interesting, because it might change, but it might not. And it looks like it doesn't, but that's in this set piece. But I've seen the same movie with color tinting, or have I not? That's a different color. I knew it was changing colors. And no one could notice. Well, you guys all knew, and just had me going, huh? You had me going. It was like in that movie that was made called The Drug Thief. But this one, they're not thieves. That guy kind of is. But at the end of that, at the end of The Drug Thief, he took everything imaginable, which is whiskey and weed. And he died instantly from each hit because he hadn't taken one a bit. And it's not really showing you anything except for what a rare case that is to happen. Because neither one is lethal. Now, if you were to shake a camera at the event that was mirrorballed in the head of the squadron, what would you be doing if you were writing a book of agency on the rest of us, that we're not about to control our minds and see that we are puppet mastering the movement of the camera towards the camera of the film? And we need to see further into this dungeon, although it looks like we've got a boss battle. Now he's coming after her. He's been coming after her this whole time, and he's got to get to the scene before he gets before the crime. Oh, he's going back. He's looking. He's got this girl in his hands. He shouldn't be touching a woman that way. You son of a gun. Don't even touch her. Leave her alone. She must not be here to forecast the doom of all eternity in desecration. But they might be doing that not to fear her Asian husband, of which they have discovered them, maybe, because I forgot how that goes, and this film's a lot more epic than I'm taking it for than before. The epic of it all starting with the beginning that was on the shoreline, which looked like the beginning of Intolerance, you know, by D.W. Griffith. Hang on. Notes to everyone, this is a D.W. Griffith film. Time magazine article, shot by shot, Birth of the Nation. Comes out again today on the internet. I have to do that because there is no sudden decision to do such things cordially, but a random upheaval of time and disaster would never come to this. The energy of his crony character is going to smack McGovern and dissipate the log split into an eternal boss battle paradigm, but this is a boss against boss. He shoots him down. That's not what I remember. He must have bulletproof vest on. How did he stand through that gunshot? That didn't look like a blank. I wonder if he was shooting at D.W. Griffith. And if we shouldn't, we should Because, my friend, when time turns it all, you can time it again, that you can be who you want to be, within it all, from it all, and be it all, according to all, and we cannot show the ending which we've already shown to all.